All right, I think we're going. All right, so today we're going to start out by asking what you think it would be like to work as a TSA agent.
Restful.
Man,
Stressful.
brave.
Yeah, it's definitely stressful.
I think, is monotonous the word, or repetitive, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably true too.
But do they do other things than just check people's bags? Are there people just walking around, or what other things do they do?
I think it depends on what your position, what your title is, and what your position is.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Because depending upon where you are, you have different security clearance. Because I
Yeah.
know some of them, some of them will be watching just security footage all day, and
Oh, that's worse.
yeah, I know. I think it just varies.
Yeah, has anyone ever been a TSA agent or maybe knows one?
I know lots of pilots and flight attendants.
Okay. Those are fun jobs.
Yeah. My buddy, that's my friend that's a pilot, he just it's interesting to watch him go through because he is authorized to carry a gun on the plane. And so he has to make sure he goes extra early because he has to show TSA his gun every time he walks through.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, that would be fun to be a TSA officer and be like, okay, here's my gun. Let's not cause,
Yeah,
widespread
nobody panic.
panic.
That's for
Yeah.
sure.
I know.
All right. So, what would you like or dislike about being a TSA officer?
I think the monotony, like you said, I think that would just be, it would make it hard to just see the same thing and do the same thing all day long.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, grumpy people. I mean,
Mhm.
you gotta think there's people going on vacation, so they should be happy, right? But then they're stressed out because they're trying to, do everything. And then you got the people that are just, business people that are flying here and there and just do it all the time. So they're just over it anyways. And so,
Well, and then you get the people that are just always in a hurry and they show up late, but they think you should rush them through because they're in a hurry and they want to make their flight.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
special.
They're special.
Everybody's special, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, the thing I dislike the most would be all the people. I know I don't love to travel by air. I am usually not the happiest person, so I can feel for them, but that would be hard.
Yeah.
Okay,
What I don't
so
like about TSA, what I don't like about TSA though is like they always. I mean, even though it's monotonous, it's like emotions dictate what they do. I feel. I don't know. I just have something against TSA.
yeah, they can be pretty mean.
There are some grumpy ones. If you get good ones, it's not bad, but man, you get the ones that are having a bad day and everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth.
So we listed all bad things. We didn't say anything good.
It might be fun to look at stuff through an X-ray. That could be kind of interesting.
I think you'd meet a lot of interesting people. I mean,
That's
really,
true.
if you think about, if you ever were into like people watching, it would be a great place to really people watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife would try to talk to him. She's one of those. She'll start talking to the person pumping gas next to her and stuff. So.
Oh, I do that. I talk to people everywhere. I talk to people in line at Disneyland, and I just start conversations.
Slow the line down.
I'm trying to make the line go faster in my head. It doesn't work.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So, Cody, from the reading, what should O'Reilly do about Sanchez and the security breach?
Did you ask me?
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys keep breaking up. I can't hear anybody very well today for some reason.
Yeah, he asked you.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's a pretty hard situation where she has hundreds of people to deal with. But where Sanchez was on the phone and let somebody slip through, I don't know. I think because they were able to identify the guy and get all that taken care of, that he might be able to keep his job. But I don't know if I could let him keep his job where you have hundreds of other people to worry about. It's that this one, I don't know if one mistake would get you fired, but this mistake could have been a lot more costly.
Yeah, definitely could have. All right. Any other ideas from anyone in the group?
My thoughts were to, you could put him on leave, whether it be paid or unpaid, but you could always switch his positions, pull him off the floor. Don't put him in, don't have him being right, at the security breach. Have him, at the security gate, have him be back with the monitors, have him be, back doing baggage claim check in the back room, but basically get him out of the public eye and let him keep his job and let him earn that responsibility back. Let him earn that position back.
Okay.
Because, I agree with Cody that, one mistake shouldn't make you lose your job. It was one mistake in a really long career of success.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you got to look. I think we live in this society where everybody thinks, heads should roll whenever something goes bad and stuff. But you got to look at it. He hadn't had really any other infractions. He was more than just an employee. He was more of a, I don't want to say model employee, but he was somebody that she would have picked to do something versus other employees because of the effect he had on the passengers and stuff, and just was a pleasant person to be around. So I don't think you should let go or fired or anything for it. Just that one thing. But maybe, yeah, I like the idea of switching him up to something else, or, so hopefully he would know the impact, what that it had, but obviously make sure he understood that what the situation was, and yeah, maybe switch something up or have him do some other kind of grunt work or something. I don't know.
Okay. I like those suggestions. How about you, Meryl?
Yeah, along with what they said, I think they shouldn't let one's mistake dictate his career. Although it is a security breach, it was serious, but just put him out of public eye, like Andrea, like what she said.
Yeah, I think that would probably help. I agree that he shouldn't be fired. That seems kind of harsh, especially for a guy that they look up to be an example for the other agents. Did you guys read that whole discipline without punishment thing?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So with that, do you remember when it talked about the paid decision-making day? Where they'll, if something went wrong, they'll tell the employee to take a paid day off and to decide whether or not they're going to change their behavior or if they should quit.
Yeah.
Do you think that would help at all in Sanchez's case?
I think it would help. I think, you have so many people upset and so many people in the middle of all of it and so many people that, want a result. I think that, saying, okay, we're going to give you a paid day off, take a day or two, let things calm down while we kind of smooth things over, and then bring him back. But like I said, put him in a position behind closed doors, kind of. Kind of just keep him out of the the eye line of everybody for a while.
Yeah, I think it would have done something. It would obviously affect his, make him realize the impact of it. I think anybody's asked to leave, even if it's with pay, when you go back to work, you hope things are going to go well. You're thinking about probably that's a 24 hours spent, contemplating all kinds of stuff that, what could happen and what could go wrong. So,
yeah. And he seems to be the kind of person that already feels bad about it. So I feel like it would be pretty effective on him. I think somebody who doesn't really care would almost love that, to be paid not to go to work. But someone like him, it could actually help, I think. Yeah, and I like the idea of keeping him out of the public for a little bit because we know that he likes that. But I guess just helping him to understand that, if I remember right, there's some sort of TSA rule that you're never allowed to be on your phone unless it's for an emergency and your supervisor approved it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would kind of drive home that rule.
I think it would drive home the importance of that rule, not only for him, but to the other employees of why why it's a rule. You know, it's not to punish them. It's not to keep them from being on their phones. It's because it poses an actual possible danger with their job. If they're on their phone, you know, it causes that distraction and that potentially puts hundreds of people in danger.
Yeah, that's super true. So I think we can all agree that we'd like him to stay on, but, you know, kind of change things up, try to drive home the point that he needs to be more careful and kind of earn his spot back. But if he stays on, what do you think the other TSA agents will think?
I think they'll agree with the decision. I just think there's going to be human error in every job. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be on his phone, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, hey, he sent a text message for what, 15, 20 seconds, and this happened. You know, I think it's just human error, and I think the other employees will understand that he made a mistake and he's going to learn from it, and they can too. I don't think it's going to offend anybody if they decide to keep him on, but
Okay.
But then again, you have to look on the other side of it, though. Like, if they see that he's still on, and they will think like, oh, and something serious happened, but he didn't get fired. And if I do a small little mistake and something big happens, I still get my job. So they in their mind it says, oh, I can screw up. It's okay.
I don't know though, because I think it depends on what the follow-up is with that. You know, it's not that you're going to just keep him on. I mean, you're essentially demoting him from the position he wants to be in. You know, you're taking him and saying, okay, you know, this was a mistake. We understand that. But now we're going to take you from this position where you want to be, and we're going to put you back here. We're going to hide you away. We're going to, you know, we want to make this right, but essentially you have to earn the right to be back at that place. And I would think as a fellow employee, you would look at it and go, okay, I want to work for a company who is going to understand that mistakes happen, and it was a mistake. And they're looking at his track record going, okay, we're going to make sure he doesn't do it again. If he does it again, yeah, then you're going to say, yeah, you're gone. I would think as an employee, you would want to work for somebody who is compassionate and understanding that mistakes happen, but that there are still consequences that happen because of his choice. He did lose the prime job that he wanted, you know, demote him to a position, you know, I mean, you know, when you get demoted, you don't want to be demoted. It tends to affect everyone around you and how you feel, you know, you tend to cow your head a little bit when you've been demoted.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think if the other employees see that, I think that they'll, you know, I think that Meryl's right. I think there would probably be some people who'd be like, okay, well, I can make a mistake and I'm not going to get fired, you know, but there are always those people.
Well, I don't know, but in my opinion, if it's just a demotion and you still get paid the same, that isn't much of a consequence because you're still working for the same amount of pay, but you're still working there and you can get there eventually.
Maybe he has to pick up all the dog poop from the dogs in the airport.
No, it's not I don't think it's a severe of a punishment. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's really a hard dilemma here because we don't. You know, after reading this discipline without punishment, you know, you don't want to come across as too hard, you know, too much of a punishment, but at the same time, I feel like different people respond better to punishment than others, right? Some people may congratulate them on not getting rid of Sanchez, while, like Meryl mentioned, other people may try to take advantage of how they're being a little more lenient on their employees.
I think you also have to, I think you're going to toe a fine line there of where, what we've been told about Sanchez. He is a good employee. He's got an exceptional record. I think you'd have to be careful with somebody like that if you did choose to not only demote him, but decrease his pay, he's likely to just leave and go get a job somewhere else.
That's a good point.
And do you want to risk, it's that fine line of deciding, do you want to keep him or do you want to lose him? And, finding good employees that you have little to no problems with is hard. And I think that's something that would have to be taken into consideration when you look at the entire scope of the situation.
So I'm curious, would everybody's opinion change if the guy came in with the bag and he had a gun in his bag? Nothing else happened, but he had a gun.
I know, right?
Or if you say no, it would have been about the same. Then what if he shot one person or something, like, you kind of go down the line and see.
And I think you do have to look at the severity of the situation and what was potentially there, because as the risk increases for those around you, I think that you're right. You do have to look at that, and I think the punishment would have to fit that. I think it would have to go with that.
But then the fine line comes at where it's through to the stereo area with the bag, right? Not knowing what is in the bag, you would have to, and there's already a security breach. And if you allow such a breach to happen, might be there, or maybe nothing might be there. But so you can't really tell. You can't really tell what the consequence of that might happen. But you were looking at the severity of the situation. It's very hard. It will be very difficult. Plus it's. And who knows what. So I don't know, I think I might fire, because for such a thing, there's no leeway for.
There's no room for error.
Yeah, exactly. That's the phrase. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
It's not a person at an ice cream shop dropping an ice cream cone. There's different severities of jobs.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a good view to kind of change the outcome, and because nothing really happened, we tend to be maybe a little nicer to Sanchez than if it had been more serious. Now, could you say that the security breach was entirely Sanchez's fault?
No, because there are other TSA officers around.
Yeah, I agree.
There's an
That's
entire
what
team.
I was wondering how big of an airport it is.
It's big.
It's a big one.
Because whenever I travel, obviously I'm in Rexburg, so I fly out of Idaho Falls or Salt Lake, and even Idaho Falls, Teeny, their regional airport has multiple TSA officers right there. Like, you never deal with just one, you always deal with 3 or 4 as you make your way through the line, So was it, he couldn't have been the only one around. That's what I was kind of wondering too. But
well, I know. So the Long Beach airport's right close to me, and it's a little airport. It's not very big. And the last time I went through, there were easily 10 TSA officers just to get through security. Because there's the one that checks your ticket, there's the one that, checks your bag, there's the one watching the X-ray machine, there's the one after, there's, and then there's just a supervisor kind of standing off to the side. There's so many layers there. Why is Sanchez the only one pulled into this and not anybody else? Why was nobody else paying attention?
Yeah, I found it interesting that the person who pointed out the security breach was a passenger that was in the line. That by the time they got up to the front, they're like, "Oh yeah, somebody ran past you." I mean, that begs the question of yeah, sure, Sanchez was supposed to be watching that spot, but you would think everybody would be aware if somebody was doing something completely out of the process.
Team effort.
So
No, there's not a
fire
team.
them all, right, Meryl? Fire them all.
Hire everybody, hire everyone, and hire new people.
Yeah,
Or
That's a
that
whole new- that's a whole-
passenger.
That's a whole new set of problems, like we've talked about.
but why does the passenger wait till they're at the front of the line? Why would
That's
you
a-
not yell out about that?
That's such a good question too.
Yeah, and why didn't the people in the front of the line see it? If the one all the way in the back or the middle or wherever they were.
Right.
Why not the
Yeah.
people behind the passenger? Why aren't they like, hey, why is he getting through? Why isn't anybody stopping him? You
Yeah.
know?
Maybe we need to write these case studies.
This is made up.
Yeah, there is something interesting though. They were doing a test. This isn't from the class. I learned this in a psychology. No, I don't remember what class, but they did a test at American airports where they would have some suspicious character leave a bag in one of the public areas where the only people watching were really just passengers, and they'd leave the bag unattended, and they wanted to see the response of passengers and who would report it to security and stuff. And it usually took like an hour or so, maybe half an hour, or people wouldn't even report it. But then they did the same test in Israel, and it was within minutes that passengers would be calling security over to check the bag. Like, it's a different awareness in other countries.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think it's the whistleblower effect here that we're all kind of gun shy about being the one tattling, essentially. And in other countries, everybody's like, nope, this is the rule, this is the law, this is how we live. I think it's just the difference of that.
I don't understand what is so bad about, like,
So I
If you're
didn't
in
hear
an
you,
airport,
well,
if you're in an airport,
so if you're in an airport,
you're going to be detained with the bag. Like if you go to report it back, they're going to keep you there, and while they go through it and figure out what it is and where, and everything, and I mean, a lot of people aren't going to want to be delayed on their flight.
really?
Really?
Because that's not what it's like in Singapore though. If someone reports the bag, the police over there, the airport security will take over a perimeter around it, and the guy is let go. I mean, the person that reported it is allowed to leave because that's it. He's doing his due diligence.
Yeah.
So why would you be? I don't understand. Why would you?
I think
reporting a-
I think the protocol is just if you do that, they want to keep you there in case you were involved with the bag at all, Because sometimes, have you ever heard of the fireman syndrome? The people who set fires to be the hero. I think that they look at it in similar aspects. Somebody who wants to be the one setting off the bomb in the airport, so they report it and be the hero for reporting it, but they're the ones who brought it in.
Yeah, there's lots of scenarios. It could be a decoy bag of fake, so that all the TSA runs to that, and then somebody comes in with a machine gun and
actually does some damage.
So there's tons of scenarios.
Yeah, there's so many different levels of it you could do, and I think it's different in every airport. I think it's how their TSA in that airport wants to run it.
Man, American customs are so weird.
Yes, they are.
It didn't used to be that way.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump back into this. What do you think the TSA could have done better to prevent the situation? So not just Sanchez, but everybody.
Work as a team.
Yeah. I think it's, Go ahead,
More
Jake.
awareness. I don't know. I'd just say more awareness. Yeah.
I would just say, along with what Meryl said, awareness and teamwork, and if everybody's working together and they're each doing their positions, then it does that multi-layer security that you need and that they want. And if that were in effect, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Cody?
No, I agree with what they said. That's the first thing. Awareness is what came into my mind, just because of what we talked about just a minute ago about. I mean, we didn't get any information on how many other TSA workers are there, but it wouldn't just be Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
So I think awareness for all of them would be a good place to start.
Sweet. Yep, totally agree with you guys. So we'll go, let's see, what does this say? So each of us, I would like to get your opinion on what percentage of the breach was Sanchez's fault and what percentage was the rest of the TSA's fault.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard, yeah.
I think ultimately they look at Sanchez and they put a lot of the blame on him. So looking at the situation, I would say he was like 60%, and I'd say the rest of the team was like 40.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I mean, because it was his position, it was his responsibility, and the team, that multi-layer thing is there for a reason. And so I'd say a 60-40.
I might go 75
thinking
75 for him, 25 for everybody else. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, something along that lines.
So just going back in the reading, it said that he works with a dozen or so of his peers at the TSA, at the security place in the airport. There's usually about a dozen of them. So I'd probably agree more the 60-40 probably, because that's a dozen people, and I mean it's a dozen people, and none of them saw him. I think they could take a little bit more of the blame as well.
Sweet. All right, so now we're going to have a role play. And so someone's going to play Mina O'Reilly, and the other one will be Ludo Sanchez. So it says to have a woman play O'Reilly. So I think.
Well, I guess I'm going to default to that position.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jason, do you want to play Sanchez?
Sure.
Okay. So this is our scenario. We've kind of discussed what we want the decision to be. So if we can kind of go through it, and when Sanchez meets with O'Reilly right before he's supposed to clock in, what O'Reilly would say, how she'd handle it, stuff like that, and let him know of the decision.
That's a lot of pressure. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Great.
All right, so I have to call him Sanchez, probably. All right, Sanchez, could you step in my office so we can talk for a minute before you clock in?
Oh, that's never a good idea. Yeah, sure. How's it going? Are you getting ready for that vacation you've been wanting to go on?
Oh, yes, absolutely after this. Just want to discuss with you kind of what happened with the breach and with the situation, and let's talk about some decisions that have been made and how we can come to a resolution that's the best for us and the airport and for you, and making this the best possible solution for everybody involved.
All right. Yeah. I felt bad. I took my eyes off the prize for just a minute or so there, and it was a bad decision on my part. But
I appreciate your apology, and I appreciate you recognizing that you've made a mistake, and that's really important to recognize. You've had an exemplary, career with us. We've enjoyed, working with you. We like having you on the floor and hearing you. You're a voice that's recognizable throughout the airport, and we don't want to lose you. With that in mind, some things we've talked about are we'd like to have you take a 1 to 2 day paid vacation, paid days off. And then we'd like to talk about moving you to a different position within TSA. We'd like to have you.
oh no, This is. Do we look at everybody else too? I know it's me, but we got we got Cody and Merrill and all these other guys around. They were just standing around talking, not paying attention to what was going on.
We are
And, Matthew. Don't forget about Matthew. He's always just kind of, But
we are taking everybody into account with this, Sanchez. Everybody is being looked at, and everybody will have a different role in how they are and how we are discussing the situation. Everybody will be talked with at some level.
And the passengers love me. Everybody talks to me and everybody gets along with me. Everybody else is just kind of grumpy. So if you take me out of there, that's, again, talk about a bad scene at the gate there.
You know what? We will miss you there. It will be a hard thing to miss you there, and it'll be hard to not have you at the forefront. But we feel like our options at this point are to offer you a position to stay with us and move to the back room and kind of help us out there for a while and work back to being on the floor. Or we look at you taking a voluntary, dismissal from the company. But with those two options, your pay will not decrease. We will leave your pay where it is for the time being, and we will continue to work with you. And we want you to go back through some training and some things just to refresh some of those little things that we've talked about. And we want to use you to help educate others on the importance of why that rule is in place, not to be on your cell phone. Do you think you can help us with the education and training in that aspect?
Yeah, I guess I could do that. I do love my job, and I love being here and everybody that I work with and whatnot. So, but yeah, I guess I could do that. Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel like that you could take 2 days paid leave and then come back and work with us in the back room for a trial time period, and then we'll readdress things in 3 months?
Yeah, 10 days paid leave sounds pretty good too.
10 days does sound good if you want to use your vacation days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I could do that.
We're willing to give you 2.
Yeah, I guess I could do that, and then hope as long as I can get back to my people, my peeps out there, that'd be a great thing.
I think if you continue to keep the attitude that you've had and your positive, outgoing atmosphere and everything, I think that you will easily get back to where you feel like you are the best served and the best worker. And I think that if we work with each other, that we can get you back there.
Great, let's do it.
Great. Thank you for coming in to talk with me about this, and we'll see you in 2 days.
Awesome.
Send that to the TSA.
Sweet.
Did that cover it?
That was good. Very, very good. I thought I was in the room with Sanchez and O'Reilly. That was very real. All right. So, what was difficult with that role play?
I have a hard time not giving people what they want. I want them to be happy and I want them to like me. I have this complex. But it's holding the line, and it's helping them understand why the decision was made, what the decision is, and holding to it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd had to tell him he was fired and he fought me and stuff on that would have been a lot more difficult to be like, no, you're fired. We'll give you a good letter of recommendation, but at the end of the day, you made a major mistake. That would have been more difficult. In this aspect, it gave me an option to either allow him to leave or offer to let him stay and utilize his mistake, to help with training and teaching other people.
Yeah.
At least that's how I took it.
I can agree. I don't like to be the bad guy.
Yeah, confrontation's just no fun.
Yeah, it's not. All right. So, Cody and Merrill, what did you notice? What did you like, or what would you have done differently if you were in the role play?
Thought it was very generous to give 2 days paid leave. There's not much of a punishment there. I think having a more severe punishment. I mean, he did look at his phone for like a second or two, and he's not even supposed to be doing that. So I think having a more severe punishment, unpaid leave for maybe 2-3 days, uh, and then shift and just moving him to. I mean, and moving him to a different position was good. I like that, and I also liked how uh, using him as an example to educate everybody else about the importance of not looking at the importance of not looking on the phone. That was good. I like that.
Okay, good.
So I'm just curious, Meryl, because I'm with you. But like, if your boss, if something happened wrong at work and your boss said, "Hey, you got to take the next 2 days off paid," and you knew it was because of that, and then we'll talk about it when you get back, you don't think that'd be like a punishment?
No, because I'm getting paid. It's like a holiday.
See, because I would worry the whole time. I would be like, "Oh man, that's I'd rather be at work, just nothing bad."
Yeah, everything normal.
And
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I took it from the way you read about Sanchez and his work ethic and everything. I think it's more of an embarrassment for him to miss 2 days of work because everybody's going to know why. And I think that embarrassment would get to him. Just like Jason said, I think you'd worry about it the whole time you were gone, whether you were paid or not, you're going to be worrying.
I didn't bring it up either, but my initial
I
thought
mean-
too was on the embarrassment was if I'm the example of having to do this training, that's going to embarrass the crap out of me.
Right, because you're going to have to stand up in front of everybody and say, okay, I made this mistake.
Yeah.
And this is why you don't do it. I mean, there are multi-layers of things, that I think you can take a lot of the discomfort and the embarrassment out of a situation for somebody when you make a mistake by simply letting their guilt work against them. I
Yeah,
know
that's a good point.
I know the thing I can say to my kids for punishment, and this is really mean, is, I'm really disappointed. I'm going to have to think about your punishment and get back to you. They'll punish themselves more than I could ever punish them when I do that.
But see, it's that we learn though. Like Meryl, I think, and I know some other friends like that. It wouldn't bother Meryl. So like, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I wish I was like that. Believe me.
Yeah.
But I know lots of people like that and stuff. They'd be like, "All right, peace out." See, I'm going to the lake or whatever.
Yeah. I think it depends on each person, Meryl. I think you're right that that for a lot of people it wouldn't be a big deal, but I think that you have to take the personality of the person that you're talking to. And no, it's kind of figuring out with your kids. You have to figure out their currency to figure out what their consequence is going to be when they do things.
Mhm.
Each of my kids have a completely different currency. My son, I take his electronics away, he falls apart. My daughter, if I take her cell phone away, she'll, same thing. I can take anything else away from her, just not her cell phone, not her music. My little girl, there is nothing to her. I can take everything away and it doesn't even affect her. So I think it's dependent upon the person that you're dealing with and choosing to work with in what works for that person.
Yeah, but also, while it does affect the Sanchez, for example, having the 2 days paid leave, but it also has to reflect to the entire squad that you have, like 25 men, and because they will travel around. Oh, he gets 2 days paid leave for doing something like that.
But it's not necessarily
not?
going to get out there that he got.
See?
All they're going to know is that he has 2 days. He's gone for 2 days. They don't know that he's getting paid unless somebody says something.
Yeah, he's gone for 2 days. Well, I'm not sure, but I'm sure we'll travel fast. I mean, I agree that it is situational, dependent on the person's personality, but count how it will look to others when they see
Yeah.
it.
I agree. I think you have to see how everybody else would how you think it would affect your company. And I think that goes with management, that you figure out what works in your company and what doesn't. I think that's what you figure out when you're in an administrative position. You start to recognize who your team members are and what works and what doesn't work, and how to handle situations like this in a more effective way and what works. Because I think it's different for every situation, and every team you would work for, something different would completely work for something else than it did for the other situation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
those are some good points. So I think we've discussed the decisions and what we would do a lot. So I think now we would go on to make a final decision. So each person, what would you do to Sanchez? Fire him, put him on probation, do the paid leave idea, or like require him to get additional training? So each person make a final decision.
I already said my decision.
Okay. Sticking to it. All right. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much. I like a combination of all those things. You know, demote him. You know, as far as position, put him in something even worse. You know, just so that he can. You know, there's some recourse of action there that everybody can see. Yeah, you know, and maybe have him do some retraining and make it known that it wasn't a good thing.
Okay. Great. Meryl?
I'll put him on probation for a short period of time, then demote him
Okay. All right.
and make an example of him.
All right. Sounds good. How about you, Cody?
I'm gonna agree with Jason. I think you give him, a couple days paid leave, let him think about it for a little bit, sit him down when he gets back, and talk it out with him. Because obviously he's a really good employee and all that stuff, and from your conversation you can make a decision and see where it goes from there. I don't think you need to jump to anything right away, because if you jump to something right away, usually good decisions aren't ever made when you do that. You can't usually play it off emotions. So I think you give him a couple days, let him think about it, let him see what he has to say for himself when he gets back, and kind of take it from there. Like you guys mentioned, just depends on management and what kind of facility you're running there and things like that. So
Great. All right. So I'll tell you what they did. Sanchez got a warning, but he wasn't fired. However, 2 months later, he caused another serious breach. So at that point, what would you do?
I would fire him at that point.
Okay.
yeah, fire him for that one.
Yeah.
2 strikes and you're out. Yeah,
Pretty much with something serious, I think so, for sure. After you sat him down and talked with him and gave him the 2 days and all that stuff or whatever, how many days you decided, and then he does it again. What'd you say, a month later, 2 months later?
2 months. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's way too soon for
He
just.
didn't take it that seriously.
That's another error. That's not. There's human error, and then there's just kind of a laziness error, and that seems like if it were me, it'd be in the back of my mind all the time for the next who knows how long, and then for him to just turn around and do it for a couple months later, that wouldn't be. I wouldn't be happy as his boss.
No, I
agreed.
think that just giving him the warning was the mistake they made. I think what Meryl said with everything, that ultimately it needs to be a bigger punishment for something so severe in this kind of a situation than just a warning to begin with.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's true because he just got a warning. It doesn't say that he really got that much of reprimanding at all. Like we talked about demotion and additional training, but as far as we know, all he got was don't do that again.
Probably forgot about it by the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm sure he thought it was just a slap on the wrist and goes, well, I guess it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, I'll just use my phone when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So what would you say is the most important thing you learned from this case?
I think it's looking at the outcomes that could happen with each step that you make.
Okay.
I think what I learned is try to give an appropriate punishment for the mistakes. that someone has done. I mean, even though he just got a slap on the wrist, like a warning for something so severe. I mean, it has to balance. It has to be equal, also or more severe to one, protect the company, and two, to set an example for everybody else, so that nothing like this will happen again.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Well, I think we're done for today. So I'll stop the broadcast.
It was a good discussion.
That was.